There are different angles to every story. A beautiful welcome to Diplomatic Perspective on Global Television. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo, and today we shall be viewing some global issues from different perspectives. Now, let's look at the issue of a protester that interrupted Viktor Orban's speech at the European Parliament. A demonstrator interrupted Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban's speech at the European Parliament in Strasbourg. Hungary has actually followed the Netherlands in seeking an opt-out from the EU rules on asylum. A minister has said as the country's nationalist leader Viktor Orban headed to European Parliament, the EU rules and adopted in May and to come into effect in 2026. And it is aimed to share hosting responsibility across the 27-country bloc and also to speed up deportation of those deemed ineligible to stay. And now let's look at United Arab Emirates as they send humanitarian aids to Lebanon. As a matter of fact, so many things happening in Lebanon and the United Arab Emirates. Load materials to be transported to the Lebanon amid the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. Lebanese authorities said the violence has actually displaced more than 1 million people. I'm talking about the violence that ensued recently. A lot of people have been actually displaced, and more than 1 million so far from their homes in the tiny Mediterranean country, already mired in economic and political crisis. And now coming down to Africa, where Ghana illegal mining protests, it's obvious that the case of illegal mining is becoming a global matter as thousands of demonstrators fire the streets of Ghana's capital, calling for an end to the illegal mining in the country. The police did not interfere with the protests like it happens in some other countries of the world. You already know what I'm talking about, countries where protesters are actually being accosted by security operatives, even though the protest is peaceful. And now it will also interest you to know that protesters were also urging the government to free those who were arrested during a previous demonstration against illegal mining organized by Democracy Hub.
Thousands of demonstrators filled the streets of Ghana's capital, calling for an end to illegal mining in the country, also known as Galamsey. Some in the crowd insisted that they would continue to pressure the government until it addresses the issue and its damaging impact on the environment.
Motivation is to see that illegal mining stops in Ghana. We need to keep taking action. We need to keep going on strikes. We need to keep protesting to catch their attention because they're acting like they haven't seen, but we know they have.
The leaders can stop this very moment, but they are feeling reluctant to do that. It's not right. I don't know what they are waiting for, but what they are supposed to do is ban it now. They can make it a temporary ban. We don't care. All we want is just make sure the forests are reserved well.
Determined to push the government to take action, the Catholic Church is gearing up for a peaceful demonstration against illegal mining on Friday, while the country's labour unions are set to declare a nationwide strike on Thursday.
This attitude of the government is not surprising because we've heard some of the members of government say blatantly that they are not stopping now, they are not stopping anytime now. All it means is that it affirms the stance and the president who went to beg labor union, and the labor union needs to understand this, that the life of Ghanaians and they themselves is threatened by this illegal activity. We say stop Galamsey and free the citizens now.
Protesters are also urging the government to free those who were arrested during the previous demonstration against illegal.
And now to France as they vow to adhere to EU spending rules. The information coming up has it that France's new finance minister Antonio Ahmad says he will strive to convince EU counterparts that Paris is serious about reining in its deficit and complying with the bloc's budget rules. The new minister will present the national budget, and that will happen, and hope is being returned right now as Paris is actually hoping they will tackle France's colossal debt through spending cuts and new taxes. Ahmad was in Luxembourg to reassure his Eurozone counterparts of France's policy priorities, including so many things actually happen, but then they are trying to make everything go well, including bringing the deficit under control.
I will present this week France's budget bill for 2025. Our aim is to reduce the French deficit to 5% by 2025 and below the 3% threshold by 2029. This is a serious, credible and ambitious trajectory for our country in order to fully respect the European budgetary.
And as it is right now, we're moving to Nigeria, where a lot have actually happened in recent time. But it will also interest you to know that there is tension between Nigeria and some countries of the world. For instance, look at the Nigerian-UAE diplomatic saga that has been ongoing, with the UAE imposing a visa ban on Nigerians nearly 2 years ago, and it's still happening. Recently, a lot of people were actually deported from the United Arab Emirates, and this is stemming from various diplomatic disputes. Recently, as 400 Nigerians, including 90 females and 310 males, have been deported from the United Arab Emirates back to Nigeria. The federal government has received 103 Nigerians that were deported also from Turkey this time, not United Arab Emirates, over migration-related issues such as expired visas and irregular migration. Sometimes you will be forced to ask questions. Why are these things happening? Not once, not one country. It's happening with Nigerians outside the shores of the country. But one very, should I say, a funny thing or situation, or maybe let me just call it a surprising situation, is the fact that Nigerians keep facing this, and a lot of people are still eager to move out of the country, talking about the Japa syndrome. Let's quickly go on break. After this break, we'll return and we'll talk about the diplomatic relationship between Nigeria and other countries, taking into cognizance some countries that have actually deported Nigerians. Remember, there are some Nigerians were asked to return from Lebanon because of the prevailing circumstances, and some of them are not even interested in coming back to Nigeria. We'll talk about this after the break. It's good to have you back from that break. I told you that on return, we will be talking about Nigeria's diplomatic issues. A lot of things happening, a lot of tension, diplomatic tensions everywhere in the country, and that has led to the deportation of so many Nigerians. And besides that, we have other outstanding issues as a result of diplomatic issues and problems. Well, joining me on the conversation today to talk about Nigeria's diplomatic issue is a very prominent personality, Robinson Robert Nweye. He's a public affairs analyst. It's good to have you on the program today, Mr. Robinson.
Thank you, Ramsey. It's good to be here.
Well, we're talking about Nigeria's diplomatic issues. This has been something that a lot of people have been thinking of how it can actually be handled, because it has resulted to so many other things. Because we are Nigerians, we are in this country. Nigeria need diplomatic connections and need a lot of things to happen, international relations, and that in a way will have to affect Nigerians that are outside the shores of this country. But recently we have seen some level of issues, matters arising from this area. Now, What exactly is diplomatic issue, the kind of diplomatic issue that you think Nigeria is having at this point in time?
Okay. If we want to say what diplomatic issue is, I think it will be pertinent to first understand what diplomacy is. Of course, diplomacy is the management of international relations, maybe between nation states, two nation states, or a convergence of states. Like you have several nations, maybe like the ECOWAS, the UN and all that. So the management of that international relationship between one, two or more countries, how they manage it, how they are able to interact with regards to trade or immigration and other aspects. That is what we mean by diplomacy. And so when you're talking about diplomatic issue, it will be a breakdown of that relationship that should exist between two or more countries, where the relationship has turned sour, maybe with regards to immigration or trade or any other aspects. So if we're talking about diplomatic issues now concerning Nigerians, is maybe where there's a breakdown of the relationship we have with some of the nation states in the world, maybe other African states. But I feel our relationship with other African states is still very robust currently for now.
Well, maybe because we have President as the ECOWAS chairman, probably. Maybe, do you think that's the reason why we have a smooth relationship? Or you think Nigeria is still the giant of Africa?
Nigeria is actually the big brother of
till now, you feel?
West Africa in particular. I'm not generalizing to the whole of Africa, where you have South Africa, Libya, Egypt, and the rest. So now I'm talking about West Africa.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely.
Okay, Nigeria can now be said to be the giant of West Africa, but not Africa.
We are the big
brothers.
We are the big brother. But if you're talking about other countries outside the continent of Africa now, we have lots of diplomatic issues. For example, just like you rightly mentioned, with the United Arab Emirates and so many of those countries in that area, even with the US, the UK, and the rest. It's quite unfortunate, actually.
Oh, okay, let's look at it. This diplomatic issue, do you think it's coming from the federal government, or you feel it's coming from the people? Because most times, these people seems to have issues in the different countries where they are. Maybe some contracts are being breached and something like that. You see them running helter-skelter and all of that. But then, do you think there are also some issues, apart from the issue of maybe your documents not being complete, staying in some parts of the country and other things? Do you think this diplomatic issue is coming from the government or the people? Then you tell us why you said so.
I'll say I feel it's actually across board. I hold almost everyone responsible for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll hold our leaders responsible. I think they've not been up and doing on their own part. And then Nigerians, some Nigerians, not all Nigerians, of course, because Nigerians are very hard-working people, you know. If you're talking about immigrants living in countries like the United States of America, Nigerians living in the US are one of the best set of immigrants living there, because they're hardworking people. Majority of them, actually. Of course, there are always a few bad eggs that goes there, break the law, and do some things they're not supposed to do. But generally, we have very good Nigerians living in the United States of America. You check the medical industry there, you see lots of Nigerians holding their own in that industry, and even in the legal industry and some other areas, they establish business for themselves and help contribute to the GDP of the country as well. So we have very good hardworking Nigerians, but of course there are always some of those few bad eggs. And I won't completely, some Nigerians are bad, but these countries too, some of them somehow creates the enabling environment for that to be done. Because if you're now talking about Nigerians living in the UAE, for example, I won't tell you that a better percentage of Nigerians that were living in the UAE don't break the law. I won't say that compared to the way they are in the US, because when you go to somewhere and you feel the laws are not that stringent, you can easily bend it, especially when you're coming from a country like Nigeria where it's crazy, like it's a crazy place where we live in right now, Nigeria. The laws are not fully implemented as it's supposed to be. People break traffic laws almost every single day, and it's nothing. You get away with it completely. If you go to countries like the United States of America, you cannot break common traffic law, because it's going to be flagged and you're going to pay for it. You're going to get a ticket for it. If you go to countries like the UAE or Qatar that hosted the last World Cup, it's the same thing. You can't just flaunt any laws like that. But in Nigeria, people get away with almost anything. So when they go to some of these countries and they see that it's a bit lenient for them, they easily go into some of those things that ordinarily they shouldn't be doing and break the laws of the land, thinking it's easy for you to get away from it, just like you do in Nigeria. And then, of course, you get called out for it. So some of the people that goes to those countries, they don't help matters. And our leaders too, the leaders of Nigeria going outside, they don't help the image of the country at all, because fortunately or unfortunately, Nigeria is kind of seen as a very corrupt country outside the shores of this country, and even within ourselves. We know it anyway, that things that are not supposed to happen a lot, even around our political class. Most of us don't trust our politicians.
Okay, yeah, I was almost coming there. But then, talking about image now, the issue of deportation. About 300 and something deported from United Arab Emirates. That's not the first time. From Turkey, a lot were deported. Then coming to talk about Nigeria, where you South Africa, an African country, where a lot of Nigerians were also deported for because of one problem or the other. Do you see this deportation affecting the relationship of Nigeria and these countries? Remember, it is not the Nigerian government that may have committed that offense, but Nigerians. Would they hold it? Is it possible for them to hold it against the repute or maybe the image of Nigeria, as it has to do with diplomatic relationship?
If you're saying hold it against Nigeria, I don't think it's just a perception, right? It's perception of what people have, and people build their perception based on what they've seen. And if you want to do a case study of a particular place, now you go there, you don't necessarily need to meet everybody living in that community. You meet about 10 people, and then you base your judgment on the attitude or the response you get from those 10 people. Maybe 8 act negatively or 9 act negatively. It's very easy for you to just conclude that that's the way these people living in this place are. You understand? Because I was trying to say, even our politicians, for example, some of our politicians are like Ike Ekweremadu. He's currently serving jail term in a country like the United Kingdom for illegal activities that he was taken to court, and he was found guilty and sentenced to prison for the organ harvesting issue that they were talking about.
The former
So those are some of the issues, and people like James Ibori, former governor of Delta State as well, was also held on charges of money laundering in the UK, served prison term. The same thing with the late governor of Bayelsa State, Olamide Sia, that even absconded. He disguised himself and absconded from a UK prison, ran back to Nigeria, and when he came back to Nigeria, Nigerian government granted him pardon. That's somebody that is supposed to be serving prison terms. That's somebody that is a fugitive in a foreign country.
Yeah, that's it. The granting of that pardon for escaping, then pardon is being granted. Do you think the country that actually caught him, all right, and put him in prison, don't you think that may affect the relationship of the country?
Definitely it does. And it did, of course, because that's why they have this perception about Nigeria and Nigerians that they're generally corrupt. Somebody committed a crime, was tried, sentenced to prison, he disguised, he ran away, he's a fugitive in the country, he comes back to your country and you just give him pardon, just like that. So of course, definitely to affect how they see Nigerians. Of course, they won't generalize it because it's a 218 right. We do trade with them. They are not going to say because of one person or one particular event that they want to spoil completely destroy the bilateral relationship that exists between both countries, because they also gain from us and we gain from them as well. So that's why probably they didn't take drastic steps against Nigeria. But of course, it affects their perception on how they see Nigeria, how they see Nigerians generally, how they see the ruling class in Nigeria. They feel that we condone some of those things, some of those corrupt acts. And for those in UAE, I think it's a peculiar issue because you can't. Of course, they have that perception that Nigerians are generally corrupt because of the number of issues they've dealt with. So many of Nigerians that go to the UAE, you see them engaging in fraud. They caught, what's his name now, the hush puppy guy, that he was actually living in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates, until the moment he was declared wanted by the FBI. And so many Nigerians living there engage in internet fraud. So many Nigerians live there quite
and this will have to these issues will leave stain on the country,
definitely,
and that will affect the relationship Nigeria will have with other countries too.
Definitely. That's why a country like UAE took it to the extreme and said they were imposing a visa ban on Nigeria, which we've been struggling, going back and forth on how to remove. Some time ago, the minister even said that has been lifted, but that wasn't true.
It wasn't.
It wasn't true, obviously. It's still there. If you go to some other countries as well, I was in Doha, I think in June, July. I went to Doha. As soon as I got there, the following morning, I just stepped out of my hotel room. I've not even walked like 10 steps when I was just like rounded, like their immigration officers or police. They just stopped me, like they just drove in front of me and asked me for identification. Because the fact that they just told me that I was a black guy and probably speaking or looking like Nigerian, they already profiled me. So yeah, of course I give them identification and all that, and everything checks, and that's how they let me go. You know, some of these countries,
so imagine you were not having everything complete. That would have been deported right from there. They pick you and straight to the airport.
Exactly. So most Nigerians that they actually deport in countries like UAE and Qatar is because they don't just deport everybody like that. If you enter the country completely legally for a legitimate cause, I don't see a reason why anybody will say they want to round you up just because you're a Nigerian. It's maybe you engage in one form of crime or the other, or your documents were not complete and you just went there. Because lots of Nigeria do it. People even stroll past the Sahara Desert and all that.
Just because they want to travel abroad.
They want to leave Nigeria.
We cannot finish talking about this issue today. Thank you very much for coming on the program. Time is not on our side. Would have loved to talk more, because this is Nigeria's diplomatic issue that has affected a lot of people, your brothers, your sisters, your in-laws, someone related, associated or connected to you. So as it is right now, this is going to be where Diplomatic Perspective will be stopping today. But then the next edition is going to be coming on your way very soon. A very big thank you to you, Robinson Robert Nweye, for coming around.
Thank you.
And of course, it's so good that you have been with us from the beginning until now. And I want to assure you that whatever the diplomatic issue is between Nigeria and any other country, and the deportation that is constantly happening, sometime in a matter of time, everything will be in order. But as Nigerians, wherever you go, be a good ambassador of your country, because you are the representative of Nigeria wherever you go. My name is Ramsey Enoch. See you again. Bye-bye for now.